All right, hello, and welcome. Hope you're all doing great today. We're gonna be working on this painting here. Let me pop out my paint supplies. So some key everyday essential supplies for oil painting that you might not think of at first. One of them is gloves, and I use I'm gonna throw on these gloves right here. These are vinyl, but I've titled this. I've titled these lives based on this idea that if your mind, your body, if there's a part of you that desires to paint, your hands, if you're constantly typing away at a computer all day, or I don't know if you're driving a car all day, maybe what your body feels like it needs is, or maybe what your body needs is something hands on, like painting, drawing, sculpting, clay, any of those things. I remember around COVID, during the quarantine, I remember around COVID quarantine time, there was a point when I was feeling really low. I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I was feeling really low. My body wasn't feeling good. I was constantly in like a sad mood. I didn't really have like an appetite. And, some people might call that being depressed, but, I take depression very seriously, if like real depression. So I call it just being down. And there was a point during COVID when I just wasn't feeling myself. I wasn't feeling good. And I started like going on Facebook. And finally I saw a friend who was at the gym. They were making a video at the gym. I guess COVID lockdown had just started. And it occurred to me that um, feel like that was what I was missing throughout a lot of COVID. It was the only time in my life for pretty much like 3 or 4 or 5 months that I didn't have a gym membership. And um, it was in that moment when I saw them working out in the gym, I was like, oh, that must be it. That must be why I'm feeling so low, is that I haven't had this like physical activity with my body. And that it was during around COVID time when I really realized like how important it is to not just like exercise, right? Everybody knows about exercise. Everybody knows that's important. Hey, Desire, how are you? Thank you for jumping in. But not just how important exercise is, but like how important it is to how valuable it is to have that like mind body connection with not just typing away at a keyboard, or not just like handling weights, but actually using it for some sort of craft, whether that be for someone's carving wood, or someone else it might mean baking a cake, for somebody else it might mean for me specifically painting, right? But it was during COVID when I was really like not feeling myself, that I realized like how important that mind body connection is. And that's it. Like it wasn't really a hey how I got started painting story, but it really was when I realized not just the value of like physical exercise, but the value of just you know that connection between your body and what your body might not outwardly express what it wants or needs, whether it be creative outlets to use your hands, or whether it be a mental activity such as playing chess or something. But Desire, I'm doing great, thank you. I just got through my little intro speech. I usually try to throw a little inspirational starter speech at the beginning of each of my streams. But yes, so um, if you're watching from Amazon, this is a call to action. You don't necessarily have to paint or get supplies or anything. Either you're watching this and you're already an artist and you have supplies that are just calling your name. If that's the case, stop watching right now, and I urge you to go. No one will ever say that on a TV show or anything. Bob Ross would never tell you to go paint right now because he needed viewers. Nielsen was dependent on his Nielsen ratings. I don't even know if Nielsen existed during Bob Ross times, but he was dependent on Nielsen ratings. He gave a lot to the world. but he would never tell anybody. Hey, well, actually, I guess he invited everybody to join him. So amazing. But you know, here I am. I want people to go out, go paint, go do the craft. If you have the materials ready already, go take that action. You don't need to watch this live stream to go throw paint at a wall and see if it sticks, or throw spaghetti at a wall and see if it sticks. I don't know if that's the right phrase I'm using, but anyway, you know, if anything, like I love this idea that my live streams can be a way to help people stop procrastinating. And by stopping procrastinating, that's why my channels will probably never have that like virality, because I want people to go feel like they want to take action, right? And that involves stopping the doom scrolling, turning off the live, not scrolling to the next page, and, you know, going, maybe taking a walk in the park, taking a pen to pencil, just grabbing a pen and drawing, whatever that is. But if you choose to stick around, then this is what we're going to be working on. If you choose to be entertained and possibly taking action after, then that's fine too. I welcome people, but just know that my intention is not to keep you here. With that said, I've been working on this painting. This was a painting at a wedding that I started, and of course, with oil painting, I use oil painting supplies. And with oil paints, the beauty doesn't come from, you know, what you can do in a single sitting. Yes, there are artists that can do beautiful, wonderful paintings in a single sitting. But if you're going for slightly more realism, slightly more figurative artwork, you really have to explore taking time, spending multiple sessions. And that's where the beauty of oil paint really shines, is as you can start to see, like, all these colors start to build up and just like get incorporated into this painting. And, you know, layer upon layer, all these characteristics start to just pop. And that's where the real beauty of oil paint comes in. If you can get through the early phases of an oil painting. Now, there's different techniques, right? There is alla prima, doing things in one sitting, maybe, you know, finishing your painting in a single session. And I used to do that much more often, you know, especially if I'm painting very loosely, if I don't have, if accuracy is not as important, I will definitely, you know, aim for a more loose impressionist paint style. And also, you know, if I just feel like being more like creative and expressive. Not that I don't feel creative now, but, you know, if I'm aiming for expression or certain characteristics, I might wait, or I might do a certain style compared to a different one. But for now, this is what we're working with. So feel free to jump in and chat. I know Desire, I've probably talked your attention away. But if you have any other questions, any thoughts, definitely feel free to chime in with them. So here we go. Let's grab our first paintbrush here. And the overall composition, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the composition just for anyone who might be curious. Why did I put the bride and groom off to the side? Two big reasons. You know, one of the most important things for a wedding is the dress, and I wanted to capture the dress first of all. So I decided to go for like a some people call this BS, but this golden ratio, the golden spiral, which is basically a ratio of 1 to 1.6, and it like pretty much like comes around. And I was aiming for like this golden spiral type of dimension, bringing the attention of the dress and the overall composition of the bride and groom, and the rule of thirds, you know, combining that with like the rule of thirds. Where's the attention going to go using the rule of thirds? And, you know, I've made paintings that are dead center, and sometimes, you know, I feel like it just dead center works in a lot of cases, but I also find when you have an opportunity to do something slightly off center, I think you can definitely find some wonderful expressions. So there we have it. Let's go ahead and where do we want to start here? Oh yeah, and you know, larger objects in the front while you allow the other objects to get pushed toward the back here. And here we go. What do we need to work on? We need to work on these buildings a little bit. Enough talking. So two main rules of composition that I use for this. You know, the initial rule is basically just rule of thirds, right? You split your canvas, your source into thirds. So you use two lines, and then it separates it into three, right? So 1, 2. So you have third sections, and anywhere you want the attention to be, you want to put them on the intersections of where those lines cross horizontally, vertically, and then anywhere those lines generally go is where you're going to have attention. So that was the main thing, you know, keeping the attention on the bride and groom, on the dress, and you know, everything else is just decorative, right? Everything else is just decoration, a way to, you know, capture the to capture the moment, right? Everything else is just to capture that moment, capture that specific time, a moment in history, a moment in a relationship, moment in a marriage. So that's what we're going for, and that's where we are. And right now, I'm gonna go back to this painting here, this building. Let's go. Let's go like this now. So we've got this building. Oh yeah, let's focus on buildings because we need some work on them. Oh yeah, I need to get a photo of the tree. I need to get a nice photo of that tree if I have one. You know what? Let me grab my phone real quick before I get started. Let me see if I have a photo of this tree on my regular phone. Unless I feel like they just put that tree up. Gallery, snapped photos. Let's see. Trying to find a good reference photo that I can use for this tree here. Whoops. Okay, so we've got a little reference photo going on now. I just want to tighten up the building and actually tighten up the area behind his back here. Behind him, the area behind him. Let's see, what would be a good brush for this? What would be a good brush? Let's use this one. Seems like a good brush. So we're gonna pull out a Rosemary & Co. This is an evergreen long filbert, and we want to reduce the angle of the back of his shirt here. I want to reduce the angle of his back here. It's a little bit too exaggerated. I might even have to like bring this jacket in quite a bit. Let's do that. Let's go bring this down just a little bit. Let's see. We're gonna make this window come down. We're gonna see how we can make it look less like he's, you know, kind of like our goal is to make his body feel a bit more natural, which, you know, it's really important. And we lost a little bit of it because I changed, you know, we changed the, if you saw the previous stream, you would see how I modified or did a paint over of our figures here. We did a little bit of a change up. So I want to reduce the arch in the back a little bit, make it feel a bit more natural. And if I feel like that's a better shape, we can work with that. And then let's see how we're going to, I want to keep the suit nice and sharp. And I forgot this idea of him. Yeah, working on a groom right now. Let's see. All right. Got the back there. Still need to make his back feel a bit more natural. What's up, Allard Jansen? Hello and welcome. Allard, what brings you in today? Cleaning off this brush. I think we achieved our goal of tightening up his back. So that was our goal for this session, or at least this moment. And let's see how we can. We need to modify the arm, but let's see. Other than that, let's we're gonna let the face dry a little bit, give it a day. We're not gonna work on the face today. But let's go with our buildings here. Let's finalize some of these buildings. And let's do this. I'm gonna grab a flat brush right now. Nice flat brush. Let's try to bring this sky color into some of this. Right over here. I'm gonna bring this down. Oh, that's a window. This is a window reflection, a reflection on a window. So let me go ahead and, you know what, it's totally confusing. As long as, like, you know, we get the basic idea here, right? Get the basic idea. You know, one of my mentors used to always say, painting is nothing but an illusion. Or digital art, you know, any time you're painting 3D or, like, you know, doing something realist, it's pretty much some form of an illusion, right? You're creating the illusion that someone is looking at a 3D thing, right? That someone is looking at something that is three-dimensional. And really want to create that effect. And then let's bring in a little of this yellow. We're going to bring in some yellow here. Yellow it up a little bit. We're going to get some of these other windows. Let me get these other windows here. I think the value is a little too dark or too bright. So we're going to reduce the value. And when I say value, I mean, like, look at that. It's a very bright color. Everything's very, like, bright. And I feel like we need a bit more contrast. A bit more contrast by adding some more darker values, aka when I say values, I mean, like, you know, if you don't know what a value, let me just show you. I have this great tool here that, you know, it's like this, everything you need to know about color is pretty much on this one pocket color wheel. Everything you could possibly need to know about mixing color, except for the actual act of mixing it, right? And proportions. Like, you know, the only thing that you might not be able to learn from this wheel is actual proportions and the actual act of mixing different materials. But pretty much everything you need to know about color, at least Color 101, can be summarized on this one pocket color wheel. The pocket color wheel, a guide to mixing color. This is literally like color 101, pre 101. This is like what the material that if you were to start a class painting or color 101, this would be like the mandatory material that you have before the class even starts. But let's just look at this right now. Well, so far we were just talking about value, and that was the more important thing. But let's talk about that first. Is value the relative lightness or darkness of a color referred to grayscale? So it tells you the exact definition there, and you can see values, right? So 100%, one value 100% black, all the way. You know, you can see value 2 is a little bit gray. Value 3 is lighter gray. Value 4 is lighter gray. Value 5 is lighter gray. All the way down to value 110, which is totally white. Now I've smeared this so far because there's always paint on my hands when I use this, but you get the idea, right? Everywhere between 1 to 10, some say 0 to 9 because 0 would be, you know, 0 would just be total black, but 0 to 9 or 1 to 10, however you want to do it, these are the values. And when I say anything like, oh, the values are too bright, what I'm saying is, like, you know, this color is too light. I need to darken that. So that's all I'm saying. Now, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on color science right here, but real quick, I mean, this is pretty easy, right? A complementary color. Let's just learn the most basic color. You know, you got you got the red, orange, yellow, 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 green, blue. You know, a wide range of colors, and then you just, I think the most basic is complementary, right? Basically, colors on the opposite part of the color wheel are complementary, and therefore they work pretty well together. That was the secret of Vincent van Gogh that he learned pretty early on. But imagine trying to do art. Imagine trying to do painting and color theory without this, without knowing the color wheel. Like somebody had to invent the idea of a color wheel first. Imagine trying to come up with color ideas, color concepts without it. I mean, it's like trying to build a bridge without knowing engineering, or trying to build a plane without knowing, like, complicated physics. I mean, it's really difficult. Yo, what's up, Goat? Thanks for popping in to say hi. Kat and I are doing great. My girlfriend, Kat, she's doing fantastic. She's out right now. She's working on a show called Darman. So let's actually talk about Darman right now. Since we're on YouTube, she is a actress, a regular actress on the show Darman. So we'll give a shout out to Darman's channel. I don't know if it's DHARRMANN or if it's DHARMANN, but Darman is does these amazing stories. Yo, that's amazing. Yeah, so she's an actress on Darman. If you wish to see her, feel free to watch Darman. She's on a bunch of them. She doesn't always have, like, she's not always speaking on them, but if you know her, you'll see her. And she's working tonight on Darman, which amazing for her. Darman, thanks to Darman for employing so many actors, up and coming emerging actors throughout Los Angeles. I actually live around, I actually know where his studios are. It's pretty cool to be this close to YouTube excellence. Actually, my neighbors are YouTubers too. They make comedy channels. And they make comedy with a lot of yelling, which can be annoying sometimes. But hey, we've had chats, and they're good people. I actually don't know what their channel is. I haven't asked yet. I just haven't made the time to go over it. But okay, back to this color wheel, pocket color wheel. Colors important. Just knowing, like, hey, if you add blue, you add yellow, you get green. If you have blue violet, you add yellow, you get like a darker green. If you have blue, you add red, you get purple. If you have blue violet, you add red, you get purple, light purple. Violet and red makes light. So magenta, all these different colors. So much science in one wheel. If I ever want a color, I'm like, okay, hey, I've got yellow up here. So yellow, let me go to yellow. What's the complementary to yellow? Okay, if I've got this yellow, it's like a yellow orange. So if I want to find something more complementary to this yellow orange, I probably want something like this. Hypothetically speaking, I want something like a dark blue violet. So that's what I would aim for, is this like blue violet. And how do I get that color, right? How do I get this blue violet color? So let's just go to blue violet, and let's just scroll around the color wheel until I find it, right? So we're looking for like a darker blue violet. So until we find it. If we add blue, we get a lighter blue. And if we add black, okay, so I might have to add black. Now, I usually don't recommend that, but if you're good with mixing colors, the thing is just the tiniest bit of black can, like, totally change the color. So you got to be really careful when adding certain colors. And some pigments are just, like, so dominant. You put them into a little mixture of paint, and it just, like, the whole paint, all the paint suddenly becomes this, like, super vibrant, especially reds. Reds, you just need a little tiny dab of red to mix with pretty much any color. And, it depends on a pigment, depends on a brand that you're using, but that's a little intro to the color wheel. I don't use this as often now. But sometimes if I'm like, if I feel like using a calculator, a color calculator, and I don't feel like trying to do the math in my head, the color math in my head, I might pull this out and be like, okay, what are some color ideas I could do? So I've got this, like, yellow, and then I've got this yellow orange color, and I've got this, like, blue green color going on. So what would be like a good color combination down here? So I've got this tetrad, and it would be like a red orange or a blue violet, and that would be like something cool. So just some ideas. Art is a science. I know artists don't want to hear that, but there is a science to art, especially colors. And if you can learn that, you can figure out some good ways to play with colors. Now, I'm not saying, that it's the science is the only way to do well. But if you ever need just like some basic color theory, and you want to master the basics, because that's like the key to everything, right? At least that's what one of my mentors says. I'm still testing this theory out, but one of my mentors would often say, you got to master the basics, right? I'm not scared of the person. Or fear not the person who knows 10,000 kicks. Fear the person that knows or that has done one kick 10,000 times. Right? I don't think anybody should, be in fear, but you get the idea, right? Or we all get the idea. So anyway, enough jibber jabber. Let's who made up that word? What does jibber jabber mean? Who came up with the word jibber jabber? It's a little color theory there. That pocket wheel is like a calculator for color, for the future color artist nerd in you. I mean, even if someone knows color and they paint a lot, I think like I just have it just because, not because I really need it, honestly. If I like think in my head, I kind of calculate stuff, but occasionally you get some good ideas from it. And that can be enough to justify having that. Just if you could just get like one or two ideas, it's a beautiful thing. So my bird's been chirping this whole time, and I'm just noticing. And we're gonna go. You know what? She might be telling me she's hungry. I'm gonna go check on her food here in a second. Go check on her food. In just a moment. Make sure she's got enough food. She doesn't always chirp that much, right? She doesn't always chirp that much. Only when she wants something, I think. Only when she wants something from me does she ever talk to me. So we're gonna mix some blue into this, and we're gonna bring down these highlights here. Just fill in these windows with some stuff. And then there's some reflected windows here. We're gonna have some windows coming down, like straight up from here. Let's go straight up. We're gonna have some windows coming up from here. And then let's see, this window is probably gonna come all the way across, like right over here. And then we're gonna do another window coming down here. And then let's bring this window down. We're gonna change this lighting up a little bit. And let's see, so, all right, take care, goat. I don't know if you left already, but take care, dude. All right, so let's go in here. We're just gonna add some window fixtures right into here, into this section. And we're gonna continue building on top of this even further in a few, but I wanna add at least, some little details. I don't see myself getting too detailed with the building, but I do at least want to capture the idea. let's see, we're going to add some windows right here, some blinds, some vertical stripes. What's that up there? Let's see, we can actually, how can we do this? Let's add some reflections in this window right here. So we're going to come around and we're going to just bring some reflections into this window. We're going to come like this. If it's horizontal, it's going to continue along this line here. Just adding a bit of reflection-ish. Because we'll paint over this. There's a tree on both sides of this building, which is great because that's going to allow us to basically paint the tree. Paint the tree to cover the majority of this window. And let's see. I have some reflection up here. Just want to add in some reflections, not too many. How do we do this? We're going to come down like right here. So build up the highlight in this. And what's the ruler for? So this ruler is just to help keep my arms steady. You know, like I don't want to touch the painting, so it just helps keep my arms steady. That's it. That's it. That's the secret to the ruler. That's the secret. No other secrets necessary. That's it. Let's go. You know what? We can actually use some of this color for this other side too. I'm just concerned about blowing out these windows with too much, making them a little too light. Let's add a bit more green to this. And here we go. You can actually add different streaks of light across some of this. A little bit of blue. See how we can spice this up a little bit, just a little bit of blue. And let's go on this next one here. This next window is going to come down. The next window down in here. Bring this down a little. And let's see. Bring down a darker color, slightly more tinted. Slightly more tinted version of this. We're gonna just come across like right here. And here we go. So we're gonna come around. Let's go bring this across again. And here we go. And let's keep this going. Let's see how we tighten up these windows over here. That window's gonna have a big, bright, nice shadow. Nice light coming down. Let's see, we have a nice light coming down like right around here. And how about this side? What can we do? Let's bring some into here, just to help to separate this plant life here, and a little bit more into here, just to separate these objects. And then we're going to add some highlights around here. Let's go add some highlights around this. We're going to go bring this window down just a little bit. Bring this window, add some highlight around here. Now let's go ahead and try and separate, not trying anything. We are doing exactly as we say we're going to do, right? So here's something that needs to happen. Actually, you know what? I need more black paint. So let me see. Where's my black paint? I'm still getting used to this organization system. I just got this the other day. This new easel. it's gonna let me paint bigger paintings, but I still haven't totally gotten used to the how I'm organizing it. I gotta figure out a system because it's not compartmentalized like my last one. So maybe I'll do the big ones there. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna feed the bird. Hold on, everybody. Let me take my gloves off and see if my bird wants some food or something. She's upset. All right, bird. I'm coming. You want some food? You want some water? I'll be right there. Hang in there. Bird, what's up? Some more water. Just happy? Looks like you got food in there. Let's see. You hungry or what? There we go. That should be enough, huh? Alright, good girl. And then have a feast. Okay, here we are. Back at it. Back at it again. Here we are, back at it again. Gonna throw back on our gloves. I probably go through like 3 or 4 gloves every painting session, because you know, sometimes you want to pick up the cats, sometimes you want to go get a drink, and you don't want to. It's not that oil paints are dangerous, it's the pigments that you use that could potentially be harmful, and the thinners. So let's just take an example here. So let's just take an example. Our turquoise here uses alkali refined linseed oil, titanium dioxide, and phthalo. So let's see another one. Our Prussian blue uses ferriammonium ferrocyanide. That doesn't sound good, right? So it's not that oil paints themselves are dangerous. It's if you ingest them, if you breathe in some, so if you breathe in dust particles from sanding, right, that's dangerous. If you sand a painting, don't sand paintings. That's actually considered very bad, because it grinds it into dust, and then you inhale it. It's not good. It's heavy metals, right? I think they're metals. Like ferriammonium ferrocyanide sounds like a metal. I don't want that in my body, but you don't want that in your body. But on a paint, it's okay. And you know what? It's not. It's in this form. It's not a dust form. It's kept in oil. Therefore, you don't have to worry about inhaling it. But if you use things like mineral spirits, turpentine, whatever, however you pronounce it, turpentine, I don't know, however you pronounce turpentine, you basically just want to make sure that you're not inhaling it in, that you have an open space. If you hear a bunch of cars, oh, my cat's still chirping. I think she's just happy. She just wants to talk. So good. All right. But anyway, as I was saying, basically, don't eat oil paint. Just don't. And if you're gonna do it, just work in an open space. Oh yeah, I gotta get my black. Everybody's distracting me. I'm distracting myself, but here we go. Let's go find some black. Ivory black. Here we go. So I use like Gamblin 1980 a lot. Gamblin 1980. I think Gamblin 1980 is like pretty much the like a great standard, an accessible standard for oil paint, as far as starting professional oil paints. Like you can tell the difference between oil paint that's like $1 per ounce or even like 50 cents per ounce compared to oil paint that's like $8 per ounce. But it's really hard to tell the difference between oil paint that's like $6 per ounce versus like $5 per ounce. You could tell, but usually it comes in really how they package it. Like sometimes when you pour out oil paint, it's just like all this liquid, all this oil, and sometimes they have fillers in them, and it'll say it. But Gamblin 1980, they're pretty much like they're good standard for, good standard, good starter, good brand for I think early base level what was I gonna say, like professional, right? Starter professional paint colors. I know super the super brands that are recognized by paints. Even Gamblin has a distinction between their 1980 and their main brand. Let me see if I can find my main 1980s. So Gamblin, you can tell the difference, right? All the differences is 1980 versus just Gamblin by itself. You won't see the 1980 on it. And I think someone said the other day, the difference really is in just how much linseed oil they use, how much oil they put in there. I'm sure there's more differences, but how much linseed they put in can make a big difference, and you definitely just want to find the one that's right for you, because sometimes having extra linseed oil, having like a nice creamy wet oil paint is very nice. Some people like that. And then sometimes, if you spend a lot of money on paint, you want to be able to just kind of figure out your own recipe. So you don't want to get tons of oil in your painting, in your oil paint, right? So depending on what you're looking to achieve, that's what you should go for. Another general rule, like afford the best paints you can, right? Afford the best brushes, the best paints that you possibly can that suit your budget and your needs. And I know some artists that, they actually have the wait until like they get a commission to buy new supplies, which I like buying new supplies all the time. I don't care whether someone else buys them for me, because I love painting. I'm not going to wait for someone to buy me supplies. But like if you're, depending on how you work, you can, depending on what a client wants, you should always go with what they want, what they need, what their expectations are, and communicate that. But I mean, as far as like typical everyday things go, I just pretty much just I'm constantly trying new brushes. Always working on trying new brushes. I love trying different brushes. So here we go. We're just gonna paint this up. I don't want to block too much of the camera. This should pretty much go straight up here. trying to see straight up and down. Grab some more oil paint. Might even need to use a different brush to capture this. Yeah, I think I'm going to use a different brush. Let's see. The best brush would be an angled brush. I don't have too many angled brushes though. Just because, you know, it would help me get the angle. I don't use too many angle brushes. On a good filbert. Filbert might do. This other brush. At least if I can get rid of some of these colors, and here we go. Just gonna paint across this here. I'll lay down this color here. So these colors are just helping us paint reflections. I want to get some nice reflections onto the surface right now. So these are just reflections, that's what they are. So they don't have to be too tight right now. Let me see how I can actually carve a reflection into the back here. Use this paint that we have. There we go. Just working at shaving away at his back a little bit. To make it his outfit seem more seamless. And here we go. We're gonna go move this across. some of these reflections over here. Here, clean this brush off. Let's do those lines down the buildings here. So here we go, just nice and easy. A nice, good brush now, flat line brush. Let me just see how I can do some good lines right now. And this one. Get some more of this black. Okay, we're going to come down. Another one right down here. Let's go. Here we go. And let's keep this going. All right, so we're gonna go another line. So I'm using a flat brush right now. So this is obviously a flat tip brush. Now that, like, you know, an ideal brush would be like an angular brush, which is basically, you know, this snipped off at an angle. But I don't use too many angular brushes because I don't usually do paintings that have like lines in them. If that makes sense. Like, you know, the majority of my paintings are like more natural feeling, as in they usually have like a natural, like nature, human bodies, figures, things like that. As opposed to like, geometrical buildings and such. Make sure I don't block the camera here. There we go. Another one right down here. I think that really helps to break up the windows a little bit. And definitely at some point, I'm going to do something with these windows. They're just too bright. But for now, it's a good start to have some of this. And let's see what else. How can we break up? I want to break up these windows as well. So let's see. This window is going to have a nice dark line right here. Let's go. And then let's do, it's only going to have like 3 sections. We're only going to do about 3 sections. Oh, you know what? I should have just matched this. So this is going to come straight down from there, pretty much. Wherever this center line is, come down from there. Let me see if it's coming down straight. There we go. And this next building right here, pretty much coming down this center line. Start to separate that. All right, there we go. Got some areas of separation now. Let's see what we can do. So this window behind him. Let's make this window behind him the only one that has like a little bit darker. And let's go, this window behind him is going to be a little bit darker, and we're actually just going to have, you know, this same thing, same design right towards his head here. Yo! Bowinator, Easel looks sturdy AF. Good. Hey, thanks, Dave. Yeah, Easel's pretty sturdy. I got the locks on. The locks on the locks on wheels. So we got the wheel locks, and they're good. They're doing good. They're doing good. What we're going to do now, let's go ahead and add some straight lines across. Oof. Oh, you know what? I'm going to have to like pull out some technique here to make some crazy lines. How do I do this? I need like a flat ruler. You know what? I can do this. I need a small ruler. You know, fortunately this space, loving the painting, thank you. Fortunately no, that's not gonna be long enough. I need to be consistently long. So what I need is a like something, piece of cardboard. Here we go. That's what cardboard is for. Oh, no, that's not gonna work either. Cause it's, well, yeah, I can use that. I just gotta be not lazy. So Boneator, what's going on? What's you got anything new? What's the latest, dude? Were you the one that moved recently to a new you don't have to tell me where, obviously. You don't say that, but are you the one who moved, or is that somebody else? I think I remember somebody telling me that they made a big move in the past like year or something. So let's see, how can we do this? Let's go this cardboard. This cardboard's too big. I need something else. Or it's too clunky. Gotta rip this cardboard up. Cardboard boxes brought to you by Amazon. Amazon. These boxes are made for anything that you could possibly dream of, anything that you can possibly imagine you can create. Amazon boxes. Or Amazon cardboard. So this cardboard is actually from Amazon. I don't know where they get their cardboard from, but wherever they do. So it's kind of crucial to get these lines fairly similar. So I gotta. How's that looking? Not bad, not bad. I think I can lighten up these lines a little bit. They're a little bit too dark. So I want to lighten them up just a little bit. Grab a hint of blue. Throw in a hint of blue with our black to lighten it up. And let's see. Loving the painting. Amazon Boxer reminded you of the time you forgot my canvas. Yeah, that was a while ago. And that painting I still have. I just got it back today after it was in a show. There has to be like a way that I can just, oh yeah, I should probably use a sharper edge brush too. Let's see, does this brush have any paint on it? Yeah, the brush does have paint. Perfect. Perfect here. Let's go. Let's go up from, oh, you know what? Let's go right here. Let's go bring this one right there. Okay. So yeah, love Amazon boxes, you know, love Amazon boxes. And hey, congrats on Jeff Bezos and Lauren's wedding. Wow, look at that. The $50 million wedding. Whew, $50 million. Let's think about that for a second. $50 million. If someone makes $100,000 a year, how many people does that pay? 100,000 times 10 is a million. Oh, 100,000 times 50. No, it's 10 is a million. 100 is 10 million. So 500 people. 500 people. $50 million wedding. 500 people with a six figure. Wow. That's fascinating, huh? Amazing. I would love to go to that wedding. I would like to go to that wedding. Jeff, how come you didn't invite me, Jeff? I make videos on Amazon. I wonder how many people call Jeff in this entire world, because you know everybody that like works at Amazon. Probably, well, I could be wrong, because you know tech companies they're pretty loose with like names. But, you know, I wonder how many people actually call Jeff Bezos Jeff, and like how many people call him Mr. Bezos. But what a story, right? What a story. The Amazon story. It's so fascinating. I mean, you know, here's this guy who just heard this idea, started working out of his like garage selling books on the internet, and now like what that's just mind-blowing to me. That is just mind-blowing to me. That is like did Jeff Bezos actually dream that it would become as big as it is? Who knows? I don't know. Jeff Bezos know that Amazon was going to be as big as it is today. Anyway, congratulations. Very deserved. Very deserved. I mean, I really can't imagine what my life would be like without Amazon. Seriously. I'd still be, you know, going to Walmart every day. I'd be, you know, not that like that's a bad. Walmart's great too. But sometimes you just don't want to leave your apartment to go shopping for paint supplies. Sometimes I like to just stay in my pajamas and, you know, just be able to just get stuff without having to go out. It's great. Now, how do I do a vertical line? Let's see. I guess I just have to stop using this ruler. It's not as crucial as far as like matching the line angles. So we're just gonna go straight down like this. All right, we're gonna come straight down here. I may as well just be like Amazon's resident artist if I'm doing all this on Amazon Live. So if you're an Amazon executive and you're watching this, hey, I am open to an Amazon residency as the resident Amazon artiste. I'm open for collabs with Amazon. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna come down. I just want to make sure that this line is like in line. That'd be cool. I know Google has like resident artists. Like they provide residency for artists. Why not Amazon? Why not Amazon? All right, so let's add a little bit more detail right here. We're gonna come down. Similar to the center, but not totally. Close to the center. And we're just gonna leave that one. Got a little bit more details in the bricks now. Yo, oh me zoo. The zoo is here. The zoo, oh me zoo is here right now. No. Oh to the me zoo. Zoo, zoo. Z zoo, z zoo. Z-z-z-z-zoo. All right. Anyway, let's go like this. Come straight across. This is going to come straight across right up here. This is my official application to be Amazon's resident artist. If you want to vote for me, contact Jeff Bezos at jeff.bezos@amazon.com. I don't actually know his real email, by the way, people. If that is it, it's just all by luck, but I'm sure he doesn't even like manage his own emails. Like the thing is, you know, there's probably, Jeff Bezos probably has so much automation in his life that anybody would probably be totally blown away. Bill Gates too, you know, any like tech executive probably has a lot of automation. Like he basically makes money automatically. You know, isn't that cool? Isn't that cool to have a life where money just comes automatically? Like, what a life. I think everybody should have an opportunity to experience that kind of life. If only. If only. What would we do with that power? Money just came automatically to you. That'd be sweet. All right, anyway, let's see here. Got this building. I've spent so much time on these buildings. I don't know, I'm ignoring this building because it's just like, I don't, I have a tree. There's going to be a tree painted here. That's why I'm kind of not as, you know, intense on painting this specific building. But it's also really complicated. If you were to see what this building looked like, probably understand my my dilemma. But let's clean off this brush. I don't need it anymore. All right, Bonator's got to leave the stream. Hey, take care, dude. Bonator, go be Go with the bow. Everybody go with the bow. When in doubt, go with the bow. Future lawyer, future attorney, bow. Future attorney at law. When in doubt, go with the bow. Future attorney at law, top attorney who will purchase all of my paintings. Right? All right, anyways, jokes aside. In all seriousness, I know Bo, when he one day becomes an attorney, he'll buy all my paintings. If that's, you know, whatever. So let's see, we got our bricks, we got our details. I'm gonna hold off on the details on our bride and groom for today. I want to let some of the paint dry, and I want to sleep on the figure, the groom. I want to sleep on the groom, as in, you know, sleep on the design of the groom, creatively speaking. Sleep on that idea, and we'll work this idea. All right, you know what? Here we go. We need let's see where we're gonna go from here. I need to really just do this building. I need to suck it up and do this dang building. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start tackling this building. Okay, let's get so hopefully Amazon sends me more of my favorite brushes. I ordered about 3 of these. These are Princeton Catalyst brushes. These are probably some of my favorite round brushes because they don't really hold their shape. Pretty much no brush I've ever used has managed to hold its shape, especially round pointed brushes. So, you know, to their credit, they've at least held this shape, which is, you know, pointed round is going to have a really sharp pointed tip when you first get them. Let's have an example here. So this is a pointed round that I've not yet opened. This is a Badger hair brush from Rosemary & Co. Pointed round series 272. Between these two, all of my brushes, these two are my favorite, the Badger hair and the Princeton. So the Princeton Catalyst, you know, you can tell it's the Catalyst because it's a wood handle with a black ferrule. I think this is called a ferrule. And then the bristles are black, and they're synthetic bristles. But the synthetic bristles are fantastic. So these are Badger hair. Badger hair are great. It's very dense. It's very soft. It carries paint well. It holds oil. But you could clean it very easily with oil. But these synthetic fiber brushes hold a lot of paint. I could be really rough with them because they're synthetic, and you know they're not. And you know what? Like they're great. They're great brushes. Even though you could get them, you get them online. You get them in stores. You get them on Amazon, of course. But you know, I love brushes that are accessible. Rosemary & Co. You actually have to buy them from the UK, and it takes like 2-3 weeks to ship just regularly. But with Princeton Catalyst, I mean, of course, you can order from Amazon. But if I'm in a rush and I really want to buy a brush, if you're in a rush and you really want to buy a brush, shop on Amazon or wherever you get your brushes. But yeah, if you're in a rush, that is a really good jingle. If you're in a rush and you got to buy a brush, shop on Amazon. Okay, who can add a jingle to that? If you're in a rush and you want to buy a brush. Okay, anyway. So this brush is absolutely amazing. I bought 3 more, and I just discovered that they actually sell this individually on Amazon. You can't buy this individually in a store, at least not that I've seen. But I love this brush because it's synthetic. It holds its shape as good as it can. No brushes hold their shape with me, but at least this, I can get this this roundness, and I can really get these really textured impasto effects. And impasto is just really thick, dense layers of, uses of paint. And I've had this brush for so long, and I think because it's synthetic, it's frayed out a little bit, but not too much. And you know what? Here's the thing: I can't speak to all of these brushes as being as good as the round brush. I think this is like however the round brush works, it just has this way of keeping its shape. Actually, this is pretty good too. So here's another one. I have this other synthetic fiber. I don't use it as much though, because so there's some give to this. There's some flexibility, and I don't know if it's because I this brush for these synthetic fibers, as far as working with oil paint goes, this is just way too dense for me. The other Princeton catalyst, these fibers are really dense, which is great. They feel really dense, which is great. But if it's too dense, it ends up becoming like a rubber. I don't know what you would call it, like a rubber scraper. You kind of just start scraping away too much paint. So I haven't really used this as much. Because here's the thing, right? The way I use this brush is I take a big glob of paint and then I just lay it on. That's how I love using this brush. But if you do that with this brush, if you take a big glob of paint and you rub it on, because of the way it's shaped, I think, or maybe because of the way I cleaned it or whatever, it's just too dense and thick. Maybe if I give it time and use it some more and soften make it a little bit softer and more pliable. But as it currently is right now, it's really has a lot of elasticity. It bounces back real quick, which might be good for splattering paint or whatever. Every brush has its use, right? But I think this will also be pretty good at scraping away paint. However, y'all get the idea. But let's go and solidify some of our space here. You know what? I need to solidify some of the space. So let me grab some of this blue. I want to capture the blue sky here. Let me paint the left side. I need to stop talking and paint. Did Bob Ross ever stop talking? I should watch some of his videos. I wonder if Bob Ross ever stopped talking. If Bob Ross never stopped talking, I don't need to stop talking. But anyway, here we go. We're just going to lay down this beautiful, nice light blue color. I want to change up. I don't like this yellow, and I need to make the painting more cohesive across the painting. Should go, if you need a brush and you order in a rush, when you need a brush and you're in a rush, order on Amazon. There you go. So the art department of Amazon, any category of item that is art can use that jingle. If you're in a rush, or if you need a brush and you're in a rush, order on Amazon. Some products I do get overnight or on the same day. Now, if Amazon could just provide instantaneous shipping, that would be cool, huh? The only company that will ever buy out Amazon is a company that figures out an instantaneous shipping system. which means like on-demand delivery, no waiting, which I think is pretty possible if you use like, if you use like Google or if you just go do it yourself, or self-driving cars, right? Like Waymos. If you're not in Los Angeles or Texas or San Francisco, you probably might not know what a Waymo is, but a Waymo is basically a self-driving car, and they have taken over the streets of Los Angeles. But I could see, like, if someone figured out a system that allowed a Waymo to literally go to the store, they could drop the product off into the Waymo, and then deliver it straight to your door for one small fee. I mean, all you would have to do, hypothetically, right, if all you did was pay for the Waymo to go to the store, have someone drop it off, and then pay for it back. I mean, it wouldn't be that expensive if you really, really wanted a product on the same day. I mean, of course, you could just go do it yourself, but nobody wants to do anything themselves there anymore. Who likes it? We're just gonna, at some point, we're just gonna have AI do our paintings for us. So there's that. Team Jingle. Jingle. Team Jingle. What other jingles can we come up with? Let's see. If you're in a rush and you need a brush, if you need some paint, don't faint. Buy on Amazon. Order from Amazon. If you need some paint, don't you faint. Just buy from Amazon. Sadly, I feel like Amazon is a company that never really needed like clever traditional marketing in the way that every company prior to 1990 needed, right? Like, every company needed their own jingle, but Amazon somehow, Netflix, they all thrive. Well, Netflix had Netflix and Chill, which was, a cultural phenomenon, like combining intimate relationships with their company. I mean, brilliant move. I think it was an accident. I don't think you even come up with that, but pretty brilliant, right? But Amazon never needed a jingle. Amazon never needed a jingle. Never had a Kris Kringle. Didn't ever need their own single. Whatever happened to the jingle makers of the world? Are they still around? Is that even still like a viable career? The people that would make the jingles on for your favorite products, like Kleenex. If you're ready for some. What rhymes with Kleenex? Clorox. I don't know. Can't think of jingles off the top of my head, but I wonder if that's still like a career for some people. If there's still people doing in the jingle game. My clients will enjoy this painting. Yeah, I already know. They've already seen it. I give them updates, not every single day. You don't need to update people that often. Yeah, they've already seen it. They love it. According to what they said. Honestly, as far as art is concerned, it's great to have like, and it's like a the relationship goes both ways, right? Like as an artist, you have to communicate. You have to communicate, and You know, you have to tell them what's going on, and you gotta, like, you know, give them updates. It's your job to do so. But it's great to just, like, you know, have a client that just loves art, right? People that just love art for art's sake. I mean, sure, they have an expectation that it looks nice, right? But art for art's sake, not art. Just to have an artist around. Just to have an artist do something. That's not for, like, a commercial purpose, right? They're not selling this. They're keeping it in their homes. Is there something on the banner in the background? Well, technically, I think there's lines. It's a, you know, there are lines on them, which I'll add in. I don't know what the lines are called. It's a Jewish tradition to have this. I actually don't know what it's called, but it is a Jewish tradition. They have these lines, symbolic lines, that run across them. But I'm not going to paint those right now. But yes, good reminder though. I didn't actually forget, by the way, Omizu. But it is a good reminder to do that at some point. And here's the thing, like, it is possible that I could forget later. So, you know, always need reminders. Always need great people around you, like Omizu, to tell you stuff. Because I would never figure it out on my own. All right, so let's see. I need some white. Let's grab a nice clean white for the front, just to have some separation in this thing. Part of this is going to be in the light. Oh, here we go. We're going to go. Yeah, a little bit of contrast for the different part of the. And go like this. We throw in some more white. This piece right here. If you need a jingle, let's mingle. Okay, here we go. Let's do this other building. I keep saying I'm going to do this building, but I never get to it. How do I get myself to stop procrastinating on this building? I should have the answers. If I'm going to have these inspirational titles, these inspiring titles, get up and go paint, then I should have the answers to everything in life, right? Like, if you watch Bob Ross, you feel like he's got the answers to everything. He just knows everything. You would never think that Bob Ross had, like, business issues, right? You would never think that Bob Ross had, you know, these business partners that would eventually, you know, take his entire everything that he built and, like, take it away from his family. That's and this is according to you know, what I saw on Wikipedia. I don't know the true story, but when I first got into painting, you know, of course, like, who doesn't think Bob Ross, right? Who doesn't go, hey, I'm gonna go buy Bob Ross products, right? When you first get into painting, everybody thinks the same. Everyone thinks, I'm gonna go buy Bob Ross products. But then when you ask around, there's some people that are very, very into art, and they're like, well, you know what? The story of Bob Ross and his team of people is actually quite tragic. Now, again, I don't know if it's true or, you know, what all the details are, but but you know, you gotta ethically source your materials when you can. So here we go. I got this. I'm gonna do this building. Let's keep this yellow color. Keep this yellow color. Let's go like this. Right here. Let's continue with this paled out, this pale yellow. You're wondering since the banner is blank. Yes, the banner is blank, but there's 5 lines on each side, on each corner. You know, 5 lines and then 5 lines going through it. And yeah, I will draw those, but right now we're doing doing other stuff. So Mizu, I've been slacking on getting the painting out, but my goal is to get it by this weekend, that painting, and I'm gonna ship it to you in a box that is not totally secured. And you know, it'll be interesting to see if the painting can survive the box. And you know, that's not how I would normally ship a painting, but I think between artists, you can share in the amusement of seeing what happens to a painting if you ship it without the security of security. Like, are they so rough with it that, you know, they break it? Who knows? I don't know. Maybe. And here we go. What shall we do here? Get this. Let's get a little hint of blue. We're going to come down on this side, like right here. Let's go down this section right here. Oh, people can't even see what I'm doing on the other side. Why didn't anybody say something? Come on. We all know this is an open chat that anybody can say whatever they want. Okay, here we go. I'm really enjoying this painting. I am enjoying doing this painting a lot. It's a very fun painting. Let's grab some blue here, like a light blue, green. We're gonna come around on this piece. Let's come around like so. Okay. And actually I could probably tighten this, use this color to tighten up the other side as well. This little section right here, it's like a little separation area. Just gotta get it tight. Tighter. Let's see, we can do another section right here. We're going to go a little bit further down, and we're just going to bring this shadow down as well. Bring a little shadow down on this side. We're actually going to take a little break here. Not a little break, probably a big break until tomorrow. Big break until tomorrow. Let's add a nice dark shadow here. We're going to come, boom. I'm going to clean off this brush here. Let's go. Let's bring this down. Bring this next one down here. And we're going to continue up with this. Let's try to match this height here. go across. Let's see. Oh. It's close. Oh yeah, that window. Window needs to start right around here, so. Measure 20 times. Paint 20 times, measure once. Okay. These are two different buildings though, but they're not totally different. They're fairly similar. Let me see. And I'm gonna paint over this area anyway, because it's gonna be trees, but I at least need to get this section fairly accurate here. This is where painting with your mouth comes in handy. How could I have been so off? Alright, there's going to be a building here. Sometimes it's hard for me to know how much to paint because I know I'm going to paint over this anyway. There's going to be a tree. There's going to be a tree here. I mean, there's going to be a tree here blocking all of this either way, so I'm just trying to decide how much I really need, how much detail I really need for this specific section. I mean, definitely the windows. So let me throw in some highlights into the windows. Maybe this can help us establish how much detail I want or need. Oh, I love painting on a dry surface. The paint comes off so nicely. Oh, I can see where I've gone wrong. Here we go. Just perspective-wise, this area needs to be a bit bigger. This window section, you know, because it's going all the way to the back, which would not make sense. This window needs to be like right here. Let's see where's. Let me check my other references just to make sure that. Yeah. So this window pretty much needs to come like right down this way, you know? How's that look? Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense, right? Okay, we're making good progress. It makes a little bit more sense because it was looking like this window kind of like disappeared into the back there, and it like really kind of threw off this like the whole perspective of like this building being behind that building. But I think now, I mean, you know, like no matter what, this painting is gonna have, you know, have something that's a little bit. I have something that's a little bit less than picture photo precise. But if it's a major issue, that can, you know, be annoying for the eye, right? You don't want to like be overly confusing to the eye. You got to really guide the eye. And I think as far as overall design goes, that could have created a lot of confusion. Yeah, that looks a lot better now. A lot less confusing, a lot better. And this looks kind of rounded, so let's just straighten this out right there. All right, so we solved a couple problems. Solved a few issues, perspective issues. I think it would make sense for that to be a bit more of an extreme angle and this area to be a bit less of an extreme angle. So we can actually keep this. Let's paint through. Let's get the rest of this. Just gonna paint this around the side just to, you know, get all the parts of the canvas. And let's see. Getting some progress here, getting along. How many times can I say in one live stream? Way too many. That's how many. So here we go. We've got a beautiful white dress. Got this blue window. We got a brown window on the left, a blue window on the right. Little different colors. I'm just painting what I see. Honestly, if I wanted to make this exactly what I see is a blue window, and on the left is a brown window. Which is why one is blue, one is brown. That's not a personal. That's not a color science thing. It's just what I feel like I'm seeing. But that could change. Or maybe if I go blue on one side, I could take this a little bit more orange, so we can kind of like have like a contrast. But I don't want to get too cutesy. I don't want to get too cutesy. Don't need to get too cutesy and colorful. I might just paint brown into this and then some blue into this to help balance it, so that the color differentiation isn't too much. All right, well, my mind needs a break, so we're gonna take a break. Probably be back tomorrow morning. So how do I clean my brush? Here's a good explanation. So after pretty much, and I've tried so many ways of cleaning my brush, and I think this really works well if you paint almost every day. But if you're only painting like once a week or like once every 3 days, you might want to try a different technique. But basically all I do is I have mineral spirits and oil right here. So I have like my little tub of mineral spirits in a nice metal container. And I have my nice oil, little container of oil to wash it. And between rubbing my brush into the mineral spirits and the oil, that gets the majority of the paint off. You can hear me tapping on the sides. And then all I do is just, wipe it off on these rags. Wipe it off on these rags. And I think if I was, if you're only painting like once a week or a couple times a month, it might be better to do like a much more serious, intense like cleaning with, here's what I have. You might use something like this, the Masters brush cleaner. It's basically like some type of soap. I don't know what kind of soap, but it's just this huge tub of like a brush soap. And this can help actually restore brushes. I usually use this for the restoring brushes rather than I use it for saving my brushes rather than cleaning my brushes, because I think mineral spirits and oil helps to get the majority of the paint off. The only time that messes with your brushes, I think, is if you don't paint for more than a couple days and you don't clean it properly. It really can start to you don't want your paint to dry too much on your brushes, because then that's when you start to have issues with your brushes, which is where my biggest expense as far as brushes comes from, is when I don't paint often enough. If you need motivation, by the way, to paint, it's the way you handle your materials. Sometimes I just paint just because I know I haven't painted in like 2 or 3 days, and I know that my paint is starting to dry up and I just want to use it. I mean, that's motivation for me to paint. I just got it, like paint shouldn't go in a garbage can. It should go on a canvas. And you know, that's why I use this. That's why I use the Masterson sealable palette with a New Wave Posh glass palette on the inside. So you need a posh glass palette, not just any glass palette. It has to be a posh glass palette because it has a gray gray underlayer here. So this gray underlayer helps you have like a neutral color from which to build every color on. Now, obviously, I have too many colors on this. A lot of wet paint, a lot of dry paint, a lot of paint boogers, which means that I have to scrape it off at some point. And the beauty of having glass is that oil paint and glass, they don't bond. They don't create a cohesion, which means you could just scrape it off with the razor. Whereas if you use it directly on plastic, acrylic, or wood, it's going to create a cohesive bond, and you're not going to be able to just simply scrape the paint off. So that's why you use glass for oil paint, and you know, you have this. I can't really get the benefits of the gray undercolor right now because I have so much paint on it, but at the time when I do finally scrape off the paint, I do have that benefit of starting out with a fresh gray palette. And of course, oil paint, they say oil paint takes forever to dry, and it could take a while, but I definitely noticed that overnight, pretty much overnight, this paint can get like a layer. Depending on the brand that you use, the paint can actually get like a little layer. It gets a layer of paint, thick dried paint. And it might not be noticeable if you paint the next day, but maybe 2 days or 3 days if you leave it out. Plus I have cats, so I don't want cats getting onto my canvas, but onto my palette. But more importantly, what happens is if you actually start to use some of the dry paint with a little bit of wet paint underneath, and you get the wet paint, you're going to get a lot of paint boogers, and you don't want that. You don't want too much of that, especially if you're not doing textured paintings. It's almost inevitable, but you don't want too much of it. Too much of anything isn't good, right? Too much paint boogers isn't good. But you know, there's so many reasons to have this sealable palette. So let me just seal it up for y'all. So many reasons. If you have pets. And another reason, like, you know, if you're clumsy, and I use this in the most respectful way, I'm not trying to criticize anyone for being clumsy, but if you're clumsy, you know, the glass palette can easily fall off the surface. And although it's tempered, and this glass has actually survived the fall inside this palette, I don't know if it would survive one outside the palette. So, you know, I just want to throw that out there. So this palette gives an extra layer of protection. And let me close this up before I keep talking. It's really airtight. So you can't seal it. You know, you really have to use both hands to seal it. It's a very airtight seal. I mean, not totally air impenetrable, just as close to airtight as you could possibly get with two pieces of plastic that, you know, seals. But really, whoever made this palette, this is also a palette, but it's sealable. Whoever made the glass palette inside and whoever made this sealable palette must be best friends in real life. Like, I swear, they literally designed the glass palette to be perfectly shaped or sized for this. And, you know, you seal it up. You got to make sure the corners, sometimes the corners stay up a little bit, but if you really want a sealable, nice tight seal, you got to really use both hands. And, you know, I think this helps keep your paint at least for an extra week or two, at least a couple of weeks. Depending on the brand, right? Some paints I've had last as long as like 2 weeks with the sealable palette, and some brands I've had last like 2 days with the sealable palette. So it all depends. But no matter what, I definitely believe that, you know, this sealable palette helps keep it dry or wet for a little bit longer, depending on the paint brand. But that's that. This is such a great. Like, the way I started painting was I started using wood palettes, and I used acrylic palettes. And acrylic's great. Acrylic palettes are right. You can use an acrylic palette. You can use whatever palette you like. You can use a plate. You can use a cardboard box. You can use your hand. You can use a T-shirt. You can use anything for a palette. But you know, I started with the whole palette that you held. You know, the classic. Do I even have one? Let me see if I have one. No, I don't have one around. What's up, Scout? Who you talking to? You talking to me? You talking to me, buddy? Yeah? My cat's talking to me. All right, so I don't have one of my acrylic palettes, unfortunately, but the facts say, let me see if I can find my safety razor tool. I cannot find my safety razor tool. Well, hopefully it didn't disappear because I need it at some point. So I don't know how I'm gonna find it. Did I put it in here? What the? Oh, what happened to my sweeping razor? Where did it go? Oh, let's see, maybe in here. All right, well, anyway, there's a flat razor that you use to scrape the paint off. Can't find it right now, though. So I have to find it later. But one day we'll do a demo of that. But for now, we're going to sign off for the night. Take a break. How can I lose that thing? Cats. Blame it all on your cats. Blame everything that gets lost or missing on your cats. That's a secret. Okay. Well, take care, everyone. Thanks for being around. We're going to go. We'll be back another time.